Okay, welcome back to example number 2, where again we will use the chain rule and the product rule for some more complicated situation. In this function, we know that we need to use the product rule because we have two functions multiply with each other. However, the derivative of this one, we know it from the list. But for this one, we need to use the chain rule because we have inner function inside the power of 4. So the first step, I would suggest we write y, and then I will use the color I used in the previous part. So the outer function will be in purple, the inner function will be in green, and I'll keep the other function, which I will use the product rule, as is. Next step, we will write the formula for the product rule, how we are going to find the product rule. So we have y prime is equal to this one. Now, the question is, what is the derivative of the outer function? Derivative of the outer function is 4 to the power of 3. What shall we write inside the bracket? We write 3 minus x, and then we find the derivative of whatever inside, which is just negative 1. This is the derivative of the first function. Now, the second function, we need to write it as is without any changes, plus we do the opposite. We write the first function times the derivative of the second. And what's the derivative of e2x? It is the 2e2x. And that's exactly how we use the chain rule at the same time with the product rule. We take the derivative of first, and here we use the chain rule. So let's just let me write it down here for you so you don't forget. Here we use the chain rule. What's the chain rule? It's the derivative of the outer function. Keep the inner without changing. After you finish from the outer, do the same thing for the inner. What's the derivative of the inside? Is just minus 1. And then you keep ex. This one should be in white. And that's the answer for example number 2. Let's go to example number 3 and see what we have here. Oh, we need to find an equation of the tangent line for this function. And this clearly I will use a product rule and chain rule. Chain and product. Why product? Because I have two functions multiply with each other. Why do I need to use chain rule? Because I have inner function to the power, I have inner function to some power. So we will use both. Now, in order to find an equation for the tangent line, remember, tangent line is very important special line. We need to find a point on the line and the slope of the line. And remember, the slope of this line is a special one, which is the derivative. Now let's find first the point. What is the point? Well, actually I have x1 equal to 1. I need to find the value for y1. How do we find the value for y1? Take your calculator, substitute every x you can see by 1. So you get here 8, and here you get 1. So the answer would be just 8. So as a point, it is 1, 8. And 1 represents x1, 8 represents y1. That's how we find the point. So we need the point. Next, we need the slope. Let's go to the next page and let's find the slope. So slope m. Well, let me just remind you of the function. It was x squared plus 1 2x minus 3 squared. This is the function. So in order to find the slope, we need to find which function is the outer, because I will take derivative. The outer are the powers, and which functions are the inner. We will use each one with the product tool. So just let me remind you what's the product tool. The product tool is given by this formula here. So we need to find the derivative of first, and we keep the second. So this is the second function. I'll keep it. And then the first function, also I need to keep it. Now, what will be the derivative of the first? Derivative of the first will be 3 to the power of 2 for x squared plus 1. And then we find the derivative of x squared, which will be 2x. This is the derivative of first. What is derivative of second? Again, this is the second function, so it will be 2 to the power of 1. We keep the inner, 2x minus 3, times the derivative of the inside, which is 2. Very complicated formula, but we shouldn't worry about it because I'm looking to find m, which is the slope, which is exactly the derivative when we substitute 1. Because we need to find the slope at 1. So what will be the answer? All what you need to do is we need to plug 1 here. 1, 1, 1, 1, and we use the calculator. If we do it here, we get 12 times 2. We get 24 up here from the first part. Plus, if we plug in 1 here, this is 8. And this would be minus 1 times 2. So we get minus 32. So we have a negative slope. So the answer is negative 8. Once we have this one, we can write the equation of the tangent line. And what's the equation of the tangent line? It is y minus y1 equal m, which is the slope we just found, x minus x1. So finally, it is y minus 8 equal negative 8 x minus 1. Of course, we can take negative 8 inside, so we will get y minus 8 equal negative 8x plus 8. If we move x to the other side, it will go with positive. Y will stay there. If we move negative 8 to the other side, the answer will be just 16. And that's the equation for the tangent line. And here is what we get for this question. Let's see question number 4, which will be the last question in this part. This time I don't have a function. I have the value of the function at 0. I have the value of the derivative at 0. I have the value of the function at 1, value of the derivative at 1. And I have so many things I need to find. So let's find them, and we will go through them one by one. So I think the best course of action, I will take the same page and I'll just duplicate this page. So here, I'll just duplicate this page. Multiple times. Because I need the table in every question out of these. So let me just now do the first one. I'll remove all those and let me just find this one. Well, in order to find this one, this is the same as he's asking me what would be the derivative of f, of f as outer function, and inside f I have the inner function, which is g. And I need to find the derivative at 0. Now, if you remember the chain rule, we need to find the derivative of the outer function, and we keep the inner function inside, times the derivative of the inner function at 0. Well, let's now substitute what we know and what we have. How much is g prime of 0? It is 1 over 3 from the table. G prime of 0 is 1 over 3. Now, g of 0 is 1, so I have to write here 1. Next question is, how much f prime at 1, which is negative 1 over 3, and I have 1 over 3. The final answer is negative 1 over 9. And that's the final answer for this one. So again, it's just a chain rule. We use it step by step. Let me go to the next one. And this is the next one up here. Again, we can just use the colors to know which function is the outer. So now g is outer and f is the inner, because the first one is the outer. How do you find the derivative using the chain rule? It just says that take the outer function, find the derivative, and keep the inner inside. So I will keep f of 0 times the derivative of f at 0. Now, what is the derivative of f at 0? Derivative of f at 0 is 5. Why 5? Derivative of f at 0 is 5, so I just write 5 here. Now, how much f of 0? F of 0 is 1, so I write here 1. Next step, what is the derivative of g at 1? Derivative of g at 1 is negative 8 over 3. So the final answer will go negative 8 over 3 times 5. So the final answer is 40 over 3. And that's the second question where we use the chain rule. Now, the next question will be, if I just remove this would be this one. Well, this one we don't have inner and outer. This one we have product rule. So just let me make this longer, and I will just use the product rule. How do I know product rule? Because I have f times g. Now, what is the product rule? The product rule goes as follows. We take the derivative of first times the second plus first times the derivative of the second. Now, what is the derivative of f at 0? It is just 5. How much g of 0? It is 1 plus f of 0 from the table. You can see it. F of 0 is 1. And then g prime of 0, it is 1 over 3. If you do this, this would be just 5 plus 1 over 3. So it would be 16 over 3. And that's the third one. So sometimes we use the chain rule and sometimes we use the product rule. Now, the last question, I don't need to do it. And I know why you will ask me why you will not do it. Well, actually, because there is a very straightforward answer to it. Look, GF is the same as FG. And this is, we just did it, right? It was 16 over 3. So we finish from this one by using the same or a quick trick. Otherwise, you can, of course, use the chain rule. You will